Casey. My name is Jason Argos. I am a plaintiff's personal injury attorney. All of my cases are in active litigation. So in other words, I get involved, generally speaking, after a complaint has been filed, either with the Superior Court or in federal court. And I'm the attorney that will ultimately try the case in front of a judge and jury. We represent people who've suffered catastrophic injuries, victims of medical malpractice, wrongful death, elder abuse, birth injury, etc. So what drew me to it was first 5 years of my practice, I represented doctors and hospitals. So I was on the other side of what we call the V in our industry. I was purely a defense attorney for 5 years, taking depositions, trying cases, arbitrating cases on behalf of doctors and hospitals who were being sued by their patients for medical malpractice. That's where I started. And it was in that 5 years working for that firm in Manhattan Beach that I realized that I didn't want to work for insurance companies. That's where we primarily got all of our business from. I'd rather represent people instead. After 5 years, I made that switch, joined up with a guy that I had tried cases against. He gave me an opportunity 5 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I think what the qualities or the traits of the people who do what I do, who are successful, you have to be passionate about righting a wrong. People who come to me in the worst of times when they've lost a loved one, or a leg, or the ability to walk. They've lost those things as a result of someone else's mess up. I get the opportunity to go fight for them and right the wrong by filing a lawsuit, taking depositions, just uncovering what happened, giving them answers, and then hopefully resolving the case for them for some monetary amount. Our civil justice system is set up in a way where all I can get them is money. It is that sort of transaction there at the end that gives that person the feeling of justice. And that feeling at the end of the day, it's kind of like a drug for us. It's addicting. You get really close with the families and you get really close with these kids who will never unfortunately have a normal life. I think you have to be passionate about working with those people. I was a communications major with a business minor. I didn't know how it would work for me. I loved it though, because my degree had a public speaking emphasis and I didn't really know why at the time, but I enjoyed that and found that I was good at it. And that has translated so well into what it is that I do now, which is getting up in front of 12 strangers in a box, advocating on behalf of my client. We have trials that sometimes last 5 or 6 weeks. You have to be prepared every single day from the second you walk in that courtroom until the second that you leave. And it involves, public speaking, communication. I pride myself in the ability to be able to communicate in front of a large group or small group of people on behalf of someone else. That's what I do for a living. So it relates tremendously. It's a huge asset to have that degree. I went to law school thinking that the Jerry Maguire path would be like my path to salvation, right? And I'd be representing all my former teammates and it'd be this great life and be flying around the world. And got to law school, met with several agents, learned that they don't really take in interns. The reason being is they're worried that the intern will be taught the business, only a cost to the employer, and then take all their clients once they've learned how to do what it is that they do. So really, in order to become an agent, you need to actually have a professional athlete ready to sign up with you when you're ready to make that decision. And I didn't at the time. My teammates had already signed, had agents, were in the league. I never got that opportunity, but being turned down led to me pursuing things like mock trial and moot court, getting back into that public speaking sort of arena. That in and of itself provided that feeling and level of competition that I was looking for from having played sports. It drew me to it and it kept me there. So once I graduated law school, the jobs that I applied for were all litigation based. Firms that would allow me to get immediate trial experience. And I got that and I loved it. And I think the one thing that if anybody is thinking about going to law school or is in law school and doesn't know what they're going to do when they graduate from law school, the legal field is this massive, massive universe. It's enormous. You just have to decide what it is that you want to do. And then once you've made that decision, there is a space for you. Don't limit your thinking. My advice and recommendation in terms of what it is that you can do with a law degree. If you're interested in getting into the consumer advocacy space, which is the space that I'm in. And it's funny that I always wanted to be an agent because now I am an agent. I'm just not an agent for professional athletes. I'm an agent for victims. It's the same job, just in a different client. That's really all that it is. Our firm has taken on clerks through our local Trial Lawyers Association, which is the Orange County Trial Lawyers Association. We've taken on clerks through there. And those clerks come in the summer and they sit in on trials with us. They sit in on depositions I take. We love having them there, the younger folks in the room, to get exposed to what it is that we do so that they can get a little bit of a taste for consumer advocacy, working in the plaintiff's personal injury space, and if that's something that they want to pursue. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is seek out within whatever state it is that you're living in or domiciled, consumer advocacy branch for plaintiff's attorneys like myself. We'd have lecture halls with 1,000 kids in there. You're forced to have to meet people when you do small group breakout stuff and engage with people that you maybe wouldn't otherwise engage with. And I think those experiences definitely got me prepared for the practice of law, because I deal with a lot of lawyers that, I wouldn't necessarily go have a beer with at the end of the day, but I work really, really well with during the working hours, right? So those sorts of experiences at such a massive university like the University of Arizona, I think helps translate well into what it is that I'm doing now. My communications major obviously helped with that. I'm never short of anything to say. I have the walk-on card in my pocket, right? So at the time, I was always envious of the scholarship kids because there's certain benefits that scholarship kids had that we just didn't as walk-ons. Being a walk-on has actually really benefited me. My first boss said, I saw on your resume that you're a walk-on the football team at the University of Arizona, and I stopped reading, because to be a walk-on in that space requires a certain level of determination, certain level of perseverance. That has really helped me tremendously from a networking standpoint, from a professional standpoint. I am forever in debt to the University of Arizona in terms of opportunities, experience, and education it provided me. I'm an avid golfer, so around my office, I have flags from the golf courses that I've played that I'm really proud of, like Pinehurst #2, San Francisco Golf Club. The only non-golf flag I have in my office is my degree from the University of Arizona.